Hello there, Sergeant Magi here. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about the 2019 V-Strom 250. For a bike with such a small displacement, could this be a perfect bike? Stay tuned to find out. All motorcyclists want that perfect bike. Maybe for you it's endless power with impeccable looks and handling, or extensive range, comfort, cheap to run, able to tackle all the required terrain, or any other combination of factors. When it comes to actually buying one, there's always a degree of compromise. My old TTR 250, the bike the V-Strom replaced, served me very well for 15 years. So why the change? Well, the bike was 15 years old now and far from perfect for me. She went to a good home in the Glasshouse Mountains to a brand new rider, his first bike. The TTR is an air-cooled, rugged and simple yet reliable bike. It was comfortable too and confidence-inspiring off-road. On the other hand, it has a crude, vibey single-cylinder engine, limited range of about 200 kilometres on a full tank before reserve, and the seat height was tall. The TTR topped out about 90 kilometres an hour before the handling became interesting, and therefore it was a bit rubbish on fast roads and the highway. It also had tubed tyres, which meant removing a wheel and a lot more time and tools as well in the case of a puncture. This once happened to me about 25 kilometres away from home. I had to re-inflate the tyre 3 times and eventually had to walk the bike back at idle in first gear for the last kilometre. These days I ride mostly road and light tracks, and so it was time for a change. There are endless reviews on the V-Strom 250 specifications on YouTube, so this video is more about the reasons I chose the bike above others I considered. A caveat here, the new to me V-Strom 250 is not my only motorcycle. I also own a Sport 600, which relieves the V-Strom of having to be master of every category of riding. Fortunately for me, blistering performance was not on my necessary list, as I had become used to the TTR with its similar power output of 25 horsepower. Had it been so, I could have considered other bikes, including of course the V-Strom 650 or 1000. Despite the similar engine output power to the TTR, the V-Strom's silky smooth delivery and refinement was in stark contrast to the TTR. With all 25 V-Strom horses deployed, the short gearing via the large rear sprocket makes performance personally acceptable. I looked at many small capacity bikes that might suit my needs. I like to buy bikes new and keep them for a good while. I find this eliminates much of the risk of expensive repairs, etc. Considering my own research and many other YouTube offerings, I settled on a shortlist that included the BMW G310, the Honda CRF 300, Kawasaki's Versys X300, the KTM 390 Adventure, and of course the V-Strom 250 amongst others. At the same time, I gave some thought to my necessary elements list for my new bike, which went as follows, though not necessarily in order. A low cost to purchase, maintain and run, a big fuel tank giving long range between fuel stops, tubeless tyres which are much more easy to fix with a plug kit, a lower seat height than the TTR, smooth engine, not a single cylinder in other words, can cruise with traffic at highway speeds, an ability to carry luggage, and be reasonably light and manageable. Looking back at my short list of bikes with these in mind, I realised that only one bike remained, the Suzuki V-Strom 250. It was at this point I decided to look up the new price of a V-Strom 250, only to realise that it was no longer available in Australia as a new bike. It was only imported here from 2018 to 2020 or thereabouts. It appeared that my shortlisting had all been in vain. There were a few late model bikes still available on the internet, but these were relatively expensive, and my list of intended modifications would push up the cost still further. And then I found it. The perfect bike. A 2019 model with 2,240 kilometres on the clock. This example came fully equipped with almost all of my planned modifications already fitted. True, there was no centre stand, something I consider necessary for easier maintenance. I immediately contacted the dealer, left my credit card details with the salesperson for the deposit, and made an appointment to see the bike, which I viewed the following day. It was perfect. I said about selling my TTR, which I did within 4 hours, such is the current interest in second-hand bikes. It was then that I got a call from the motorcycle dealer telling me that the bike was already sold by another salesperson half an hour before my call. But this was subject to finance. I was gutted, but that was that. Fortunately for me, exactly a week later the dealer called me back to say the prospective purchaser could not get the finance approved, so I was next in line. Shortly afterwards, and 5,500 Australian dollars later, the little V-Strom was mine. The modifications the former owner had already invested in were as follows: top box and panniers, barkbuster handguards, and an excellent tall touring screen. All I had to do was the usual headlight upgrade and fit a centre stand, items both now completed. In summary then, what is it specifically that makes this bike perfect for my needs? What sort of range is achievable on a full tank, you might ask? Well, 17.3 litres of fuel has carried me nearly 400 kilometres so far, with 2/5 of a tank left. At this rate we're on track to hit over 500 kilometres, which is more than most bikes and double that of my FZ6S and TTR for that matter. I'll let you know the Ks when it runs out in the next one. The bike is both quiet and comfortable. The exhaust is whisper quiet, which may not suit all, but it suits me, as I'm out there to enjoy the ride, scenery and tranquility. Excessive noise is just a distraction. The riding position is not cramped. In fact, it's quite spacious for such a small capacity bike. The seat height is a low 800mm. At 5'10", 182 centimetres, I can easily get both feet flat on the ground. When riding, the feet are tucked up a bit, but long stretches in the saddle aren't an issue in terms of comfort. The tall touring screen helps prevent fatigue and protects the rider from the wind in a bubble of calm, as the Missenden Flyer would put it. The Suzuki engineers have done excellent work with the fueling and the clutch particularly. As a result, the bike is silky smooth to ride. A relatively low engine output means that even abrupt use of the controls doesn't unsettle the bike too much. There are slight, fleeting vibrations through the seat around 5,500 revs, but these are not intrusive. There is a 12-volt power outlet, 36 watts maximum, that easily allows phone and camera battery charging on the fly. Even the Roadwinner tyres, which I was initially concerned about, offer surprisingly good sealed road performance and grip. They are tubeless too. I may invest in a set of dual-purpose tyres down the road, as no road tyres are great off the blacktop. The superbly designed LCD non-reflective white-on-black display contains all the information a rider needs in a compact package. At a glance, it's easy to see fuel gauge, dynamic fuel economy, either in kilometres per litre or litres per 100 kilometre. There is a gear position indicator, rev counter and a clock, and there's even an adjustable gear change light. Any issues with engine management, oil pressure and water temperature are indicated with lights only, which is fine on this level of bike. There's not much more to say here, except I was happy with what I paid for the bike. It's frugal to own and run, and reasonably cheap to insure. Agreed, the little V-Strom is built to a budget, but it doesn't feel budget in any way. In fact, the build quality and fit and finish are perfectly acceptable. Some criticism has been levelled at this bike in online reviews, though some of it is fair comment. Many say the bike is underpowered and suggest difficulty could be had keeping up with traffic whilst carrying a pillion and loaded up with luggage. But can it be done? Others have commented that the bike will suffer off-road, but in fairness Suzuki made it clear at the launch that they did not design it so in terms of its 17-inch wheels, ride height and suspension travel, etc. I'm sure it performs just fine on light tracks and unsurfaced roads. Time will tell. Some online reviewers, even owner reviewers, have made fun of Suzuki's Sport Adventure Tourer badging. But can a full day's riding be had on such a small capacity bike? Again, we'll see. The bike will accelerate reasonably well without the need for downshifting in top gear from around 4,500 revs. This is due to the large rear sprocket. I put the bike on the centre stand to bring you the following engine for road speed in 6th gear for illustration purposes only. Don't try this at home. The engine is happy until about 7,500 revs, a shade short of the indicated 100 km per hour. Again, the indicated top speed of 136 km per hour is not reached until the rev limiter at 10,500 revs. Compounding these high engine speed is the fact that the speedometer overreads, so at true GPS speeds the little twin is spinning faster still. I may well consider a smaller rear sprocket to keep engine speed more acceptable if I find this necessary. Tune in next time for my testing of some of these criticisms. The Suzuki DL250 V-Strom. A perfect bike? Well, maybe not entirely perfect, but perfect enough for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, many thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. See you now.